Hi everyone, I'm Karil Jean B. Tokma, a second year college student taking a Bachelor of Secondary Education major in English. And in one of my subjects, we were tasked to create a diorama. And I chose to make a river scene because I wanted to represent nature and showcase a peaceful natural environment. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process of how I made my diorama. To begin, I started with a base. For the foundation, I used styrofoam because it's lightweight and easy to shape. Styrofoam also provides a sturdy base, which is important when you're building a model like this. I carefully measured and cut the styrofoam to fit the size I needed. Once I had my base, I started shaping the landscapes by cutting pieces of cardboard. The cardboard helped me add height and depth to the terrain, which gave it a more realistic feel. After I was happy with the shape of the landscape, I covered the entire base with paper. This step helped smooth out the surface and made it easier to paint later on. I used glue to make sure the paper stuck firmly to the styrofoam and cardboard, making the entire base look seamless. This also made the diorama more stable and ready for the next steps. I then started adding details like small pebbles. These little pebbles made the surface look more textured and natural, especially around the riverbank area. Next, I began painting. I used brown paint for the entire landscape, leaving the river unpainted for now. I chose brown because it's natural earth color, and I wanted the scene to look like it was a real outdoor environment. The painting process took some time as I had to make sure I covered all the areas evenly. After painting the base, I focused on the river. For the river, I used tissue paper to create texture so it wouldn't just look like a flat surface. The tissue added a slight ripple effect, which would help later when I painted it to look like water. The next day, after everything had dried, I moved on to painting the river. This part was really fun because I used different shades of blue to give the river some depth. I started with a dark blue for the deeper parts of the river and then used lighter shades towards the edges. Once the river was painted, I turned my attention to the grassy areas. For the grass, I used an old sponge that I cut into small pieces. This sponge was a great material because it added a lot of texture to the diorama. I also added some PVA glue to the river to give it a shiny, wet look. The glue dried clear, which made the river look even more like real water. One of my favorite details in this project was creating a small bridge. I made the bridge out of sticks and strings, which added a lot of charm to the scene. The sticks were carefully arranged to look like they were holding up the bridge, and the strings served as the bridge's railing. I also placed some rocks around the river to give it even more natural detail. The next day, I glued the grass into the landscape and started working on the backdrop. For the backdrop, I used an illustration board and cut it to the size of the diorama. This backdrop helped frame the scene and gave it more context, making it look like the river was part of a larger environment. I also crafted some paper flowers to add pops of color to the scene. These little flowers made the diorama look more vibrant and alive, like a peaceful garden setting along the river. On the last day, I added the flowers to the diorama and did some finishing touches. I made sure everything was glued surely in place and that all the colors looked balanced. I stepped back and made sure the overall scene looked natural and harmonious. It was important for me that the diorama not only looked realistic, but also felt like a calming, peaceful scene you could imagine stepping into. And that's how I made the river diorama. This project was really fun, and I enjoyed being able to bring a natural sense to life. I hope you enjoyed watching the process as much as I enjoyed making it. Thank you for watching.